Hey everyone, and welcome back to the English Prep Podcast.
Glad to be back.
You know how we're always talking about ways to get better at expressing yourself clearly in English?
Absolutely, and how important that is no matter what your goals are.
Well, today we're going to do a deep dive into one skill that can really help you do that.
We're tackling essay writing.
Yeah, essay writing.
It's something that can be pretty intimidating for a lot of English learners.
Definitely, especially when you're faced with a blank page and a time limit.
Right, like on the TOEFL, for example.
Exactly.
So we're here to break it all down and make the process way less scary.
Less scary, more effective.
That's the goal.
So let's get started. Where do we even begin with essay writing?
Well, before you even think about grammar or fancy vocabulary,
You know, all those impressive words.
right, the very first thing is to understand the purpose of the essay.
What are you actually trying to achieve with this piece of writing?
Exactly.
Is it giving your opinion on something? Are you explaining a concept?
Or are you arguing a specific point, taking a position?
Right, because that makes a huge difference in how you approach the whole thing.
It's like having a map for your essay. It guides you from the first idea to the last sentence.
Because if you're not clear on the purpose, you might end up including stuff that isn't even relevant.
Right, or structuring your arguments in a way that isn't persuasive.
It's like trying to build a house without knowing what you're going to use it for.
Exactly. You need a blueprint.
So purpose is key.
Definitely.
Okay, so once we have a clear purpose, what's next?
Then it's time to brainstorm.
Brainstorming.
Yeah, that's where you gather all your ideas.
It's like digging for treasure,
Kind of all the potential gold nuggets are buried in your brain.
and we need to unearth them.
One technique for doing that is free writing.
Free writing, what's that?
You just write down anything and everything that comes to mind about the topic.
Doesn't matter if it's good or bad, right? Just get it out there.
For 5 or 10 minutes, just let the words flow.
This sounds great for those of us who get stuck staring at the blank page.
It's a great way to overcome that initial block.
No pressure, just write.
And then there's mind mapping, which is a little more visual.
Ah, I like visual stuff.
You start with the main topic in the center and then branch out with related ideas.
Like a spider web of thoughts.
Exactly. And that can help you see connections you might not have noticed otherwise.
And the third brainstorming method,
Simple list making,
just list out every point you can think of.
straightforward and organized.
So many options. Which one's best?
It really depends on what works for you.
Yeah.
The important thing is to have that pool of ideas.
You get the creative juices flowing.
And it often leads to stronger arguments and more interesting examples later on.
Makes sense. So we've brainstormed, we've got all these ideas now. What?
Now we need to bring some order to the chaos.
Time for structure.
Exactly. That's where the outline comes in.
Ah, the outline.
The skeleton of your essay.
The framework that holds it all together.
We usually start with the introduction.
Okay, the introduction. What makes a good one?
Well, it needs to grab the reader's attention.
We need a hook.
Something interesting, maybe a surprising fact or a question that makes them think.
Something to pique their curiosity.
And then we need to give some background information.
Set the stage.
Right. Just enough so the reader understands the context.
Okay, context is key.
And then comes the most important part of the introduction.
Drum roll, please.
The thesis statement.
Ah, the thesis statement, the heart of the essay.
Exactly. It's the central argument, the main point you're going to make.
So everything in the essay should support that thesis statement.
It's the foundation upon which you build your whole argument.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the introduction, the hook, the background, and the thesis statement.
Right.
What about the body paragraphs? This is where we develop our ideas, right?
Absolutely. Each body paragraph should focus on one main idea.
One idea per paragraph.
And that idea should support your thesis statement.
Okay, so it's all connected.
And each paragraph should start with a topic sentence.
It's a topic sentence.
It's like a mini thesis statement for that paragraph.
It tells the reader what that paragraph is about.
Exactly, it sets the focus.
So it's like a signpost for each section of the essay.
And then after the topic sentence, you provide supporting details.
Evidence to back up your claim.
Facts, examples, statistics, personal experiences, anything relevant.
To make your point stronger.
But don't just list the details you need to explain how they connect back to your thesis.
Show the reader why those details are important.
It's all about making those connections.
And to keep everything flowing smoothly, we need transitions.
Yes, transitional words and phrases are essential.
Like, furthermore, however, on the other hand,
They act like bridges between your ideas.
guiding the reader along the path of your argument.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have the introduction, the body paragraphs with their supporting evidence and transitions,
What's left?
the grand finale, the conclusion.
Right. The conclusion is where you wrap it all up.
Bring it all home.
First, you restate your thesis statement.
But not the exact same words, right?
Now rephrase it to reinforce the main point.
Okay, so it's a reminder, but with a fresh perspective.
Then you briefly summarize the main points you made.
Hitting those key takeaways.
And finally, you end with a final thought or a call to action.
Something to leave the reader pondering.
Or inspire them to take action.
Okay, so the conclusion ties everything together, summarizes, and leaves a lasting impression.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about the actual writing process. That introduction, how can we make it really captivating?
Remember that hook? We need something to grab the reader's attention right away.
Like what specifically?
Maybe a startling statistic or a very short story that illustrates your point.
A little anecdote to draw them in?
And then we give the necessary background, but keep it concise.
Don't overwhelm them with too much information.
And of course, the thesis statement should be crystal clear.
So clear and direct. No need for fancy vocabulary just yet.
Remember, we're talking to intermediate English learners here.
Clarity is key.
Absolutely.
Now for those body paragraphs, how do we make them strong and persuasive?
Remember, one idea per paragraph, start with a clear topic sentence.
That signpost we talked about.
Then really dig into the supporting details.
Use specific examples, facts, experiences that illustrate your point.
And explain how those details support your thesis.
Make those connections explicit.
And use a transitional sentence to smoothly lead into the next paragraph.
Keep it flowing.
Yes, and avoid going off topic.
Stay focused.
Exactly.
And for the conclusion, how do we wrap things up effectively?
Restate your thesis, but in a new way.
Fresh wording.
Summarize your key arguments.
Briefly and clearly.
And then offer that final thought, something that leaves an impact.
A question, a suggestion, a reflection.
Something to make them think.
So the conclusion brings it all full circle.
Right.
But wait, we're not done yet, right?
Of course not. We need to revise.
Revision.
It's not just about fixing spelling mistakes.
It's about looking at the big picture.
Making sure your essay is clear, logical, well-supported, and engaging.
So what are we looking for when we revise?
First, does each paragraph actually support your thesis?
Is everything relevant?
Then how are the transitions between ideas? Are they smooth?
Is it easy to follow the flow of your argument?
And can you simplify your language anywhere to make it clearer?
Especially for our English learner audience.
And of course, check for grammar, spelling, punctuation errors.
So it's a thorough checkup.
It's about making sure your essay is the best it can be.
Okay, so we plan, we write, we revise. Are there any other tips for a high-scoring essay?
Well, there are a few things that can really make a difference.
Tell me more.
Try to use active voice as much as possible.
Active voice instead of passive voice.
Right. It makes your writing more direct and concise.
Like saying, the scientist conducted the experiment.
Instead of the experiment was conducted by the scientist.
Much clearer.
And vary your sentence structure.
Don't make them all the same length.
Make short and long sentences to make your writing more dynamic.
Keep it interesting.
And be consistent with your verb tenses.
Ah, yes, the dreaded verb tenses.
Stick to one tense unless there's a reason to change.
Right. Consistency is key.
And of course, practice, practice, practice.
The more you write, the better you get.
Absolutely.
And especially for exams, practice managing your time.
Yeah.
Allocate specific time for each stage of the writing process.
Brainstorming, outlining, writing, revising.
So you don't run out of time.
Right.
And I imagine looking at high-scoring examples can be helpful.
Definitely, you can learn a lot by analyzing what makes those essays successful.
Ah, so it's like studying the masters.
In a way.
And create a personal checklist of things to review before submitting.
That can help you catch common errors.
Great tips.
Now let's talk about common pitfalls, things to avoid.
Yes, the traps we can fall into.
One big one is using overly complex vocabulary.
Trying to sound too academic.
Clarity is more important than using fancy words.
Keep it simple and clear.
Another pitfall is lack of coherence.
Ideas jumping around without clear transitions.
Stick to your outline. Use those transition words we talked about.
Make those connections clear.
And always make sure you're answering the essay prompt.
Read the question carefully.
Don't go off on a tangent.
And of course, the biggest pitfall of all is not practicing enough.
You can't expect to write a great essay without putting in the work.
Practice makes perfect.
Or at least progress.
So to sum up, avoid complex language, ensure coherence, answer the prompt, and practice.
And remember, a well-structured essay can make you a more effective communicator.
In all areas of life.
Think about how you can apply these principles beyond just exams.
Well, we hope this deep dive has been helpful.
It's giving you a solid foundation.
Remember, a well-structured essay is a powerful tool.
Keep practicing and keep learning.
Thanks for joining us, and good luck with your English studies, everyone.
Next time.
Bye for now.